So today's lesson is called Divisibility and Factors. Today you're going to learn about the divisibility rules and how to find all the factors of a given number. So first off, some new terms. Your first new term is divisible. Now, divisible means a whole number, keyword is evenly divisible by another if the remainder is 0 when you divide. So it has to evenly divide into a number. So divisible needs to be in your notes. So for example, 18 is divisible by 2. Why? Because we have a remainder. We don't have a remainder. So your remainder is 0. So when we divide into it, if I were to do 2 divided into 18, I get 9. 18 I subtract, I get 0. My remainder is equal to 0. Same thing if I do it to 9. I do 9 divided into 18, I get 2. 18 we subtract, I get 0. My remainder is 0. I'm evenly dividing into a number. Our other new term is factor. Factor is whatever number you find that can divide evenly into your given number again. So go ahead and write this into your notes. So your example is 2 and 9. 2 and 9 are factors of 18. How do I know they're factors of 18? Because I just divided into them. 2 divided into 18 will give me 9. Minus 18, I get 0. I divided evenly into my given number. Same with 9. 9 divided into 18 gives me 2. Subtract 18, I get 0. I'm dividing evenly. That is a factor. Now we're going to be going over some divisibility rules. So I want this all in your notes. I want the title, divisibility rules, divisible by, and when. So any number is divisible by 2 when the number is even. Now, what do I mean by when the number is even? Well, that's when it ends in either 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. Those are going to be our even numbers. Now you might ask, why isn't 10 on here? Why isn't 12 on here? Because it has to end in it. So we're only looking at the very last number. If you notice, 10 and 12. They have 0 and 2, which is already on here. So it only goes up to 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So, i.e., another way of saying i.e. is example. So some examples of when we can divide 2. So we look at 38. Does it end in 8? Yes, it does. Is 8 an even number? Yes, it is. So let's check it out. 2 divided into 38. 1, 2, subtract, I get 18, 9, subtract 18, 0. So the number is divisible by 2 when it ends in an even number. Some other examples are 174, and why do we know 174 works? Because it's an even number, our last term, which is 4. Now, we're going to look at the divisibility rules of 3. So a number is divisible by 3 when the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. So, for example, I have 624. So I take all those digits, 6 plus 2 plus 4, and it gives me 12. Now, can 3 divide into 12? Yes, it can. How do I know that? Because 3 times 4 gives me 12. So let's test this out. Let's see if we can divide 3 into this number. So 3 divided into 624. So I have 3 times 2, which is 6. 2, can't bring down my 4. So I get, oops, sorry, I forgot my 0. Oops, I forgot my 0. 3 times what will give me 24? That'd be 8. I subtract 24, I get 0. So it divided into evenly. So I know that any number will be divisible by 3 when the sum of the digits is also divisible by 3, because I know that 12 is divisible by 3. Another example is 111, because we find the sum of those digits. What's 1 plus 1 plus 1? It's 3, so this will all be divisible by 3. Now we look at when we're going to be divisible by 5. Now 5 is one of the easier ones. Basically, it's a whole number that ends in 0 or 5. Now why 0 or 5? Because what's 5 times 2? 10. 5 times 3, 15. 5 times 4, 20. 5 times 5, 25. Just trying to notice a pattern. We go from 0 to 5, 0 to 5. It always works like that. So whenever it ends in 0, 5, we know automatically it's divisible by 5. Some examples. 1,300. Why? Because it ends in 0. 365. Why? Because it also ends in 0. Now we're going to look at the divisibility rules of 9. Now, this is, once again, the sum of the digits only when it's divisible by 9. So, for example, we have 3,645. So, we're going to add up all their digits. 3 plus 6 plus 4 plus 5 gives me 18. I already know that 18 is divisible by 9, but let's go and check and see. Let's see if 9 will divide in 3,645. So, 9 times 4 is 36. 0. Can't bring down a 4, that doesn't work. Bring down my 5. 9 gives me 45. 0 will be at the end, so it is divisible. So we know that as long as the sum of these digits is divisible by 9, we can divide it by 9. Another example, 18,747. We just take all the digits, add it together. I know that 27 is divisible by 9, so I know I can divide 9 into this huge number. Number 10, divisible by 10. The whole number just has to end in 0. We already know this from our times table. What is 10 times 1? 10. 10 times 2? 20. 10 times 3? 30. Always ends in 0. If it ends in 0, we know it is divisible by 10. So some examples. We have 3,160, 260, 970. How do these all work? Because they all end in 0. And last but not least, our favorite, 100. So go ahead and write down the directions and these examples, and I want you to go and try to solve number 1. Tell me what numbers 2, 3, 5, 9, or 10 are divisible into this value. So taking a look at number 1. First off, I see a 0. 0 is even, so I know 2 will work. I know 5 will work. Why? Because it ends in a 0. Ends in 0. And I know that 10 will work. Let's add up the terms. 1 plus 6 plus 0 gives me 7. So 3 is out, and so is 9. So she's gotten 2, 5, and 10 as your answer. Now go and try to solve number 2. So let's look at number 2. So first off, my 2. This is an even number, so I know 2 has to be part of it. Let's add up my terms. 5 plus 7 plus 1 plus 2 gives me, let's see, 12 plus 1 plus 2, 13 plus 2 gives me 15. Let's see. So first off, it doesn't end in a 5 or 0, so 5 is out. It doesn't end with a 0, so 10 is out. 15, let's see, can 9 divide into 15? No, so 9 is out. Can 3 divide into 15? Yes, it can. 5. So it's only 2 and 3, and my answer. Now, let's go and try to solve number 3. So taking a look at number 3, first off, we should notice it ends in a 5. Whoops, let me erase all that other work too. So 5 has to be part of my answers. So it's not an even number, so 2's out of it. It doesn't have a 0, so 10's out of it. So let's check and see. Let's see if it's divisible by 3 or 9. So 2 plus 1 plus 7 plus 5, 3 plus 7 plus 5, 10 plus 5. I get 15 again. So I know 9 can't work, but I know 3 will. Why? Because I can divide 3 into 15, so 5 and 3 should be your answer. So what I want you to do, I want you to write down the directions, list all the factors of the following. List the factors of 20. On your own, I'm going to see how many factors you can come up with. And don't forget, 1 times 20 is a factor. So let's go and just work our way down. So 1 times 20 will give me 20. Let's see, 2 times 10 will give me 20. Let's see, we can't do 3, that's not going to work. 4 will work though. 4 times 5 will give me 20. 6 won't work, neither will 7. Now, are these all the factors? Technically, no. No, what do you mean? Well, technically we also have negative factors. -1 times a -20. -2 times a -10. -4 times a -5. Well, how do these work? Because when you multiply them, two negatives always gives you a positive, so you end up with a positive 20. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget about negative factors. You can also have negative factors. Don't forget about those. So on your own, go and try to do number 1. Can you find all the factors of this given number? Don't forget your negative ones as well. So once again, you should have started with 1, because always 1 times 30. Now this ends in 0, so say 2 divided to 30. We'll give you 15. So I have 2 times 15. 3 can go into this. 30. Let's see, can 4 divide into 30? No. 5 can divide into 30 6 times, so 5 times 6. 7, 8, can 9 divide into 30? No. So, looks like we all have factors, right? Not necessarily. Remember, we can always have negative ones. So you take all your factors, we're going to make them negative. -1, -30. -2, -15. -3, -10. -5, -6. So now we have all our factors of 30. So don't forget about your negative numbers. We've learned about divisibility rules, how to be divisible, what's a factor.